Hello, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be looking at the bent over row and a few variations you can use to get the most out of this exercise and also find the right variation that suits your current level of ability. So first thing I'm going to do is execute a simple deadlift exercise. So the deadlift and the bent over row share the same timing of the hip action and the demand of the spine to be held in neutral when you're in the bent over position as such. So very first thing I do with people is make sure that they can execute this position. And if you just watch, when I just get to here, I'll sort of try to tilt my butt up just that little bit there. This is the perfect point that you must be able to get to. So in the deadlift world, it's a Romanian deadlift, so my shins are pretty vertical. But the main thing here is I'm trying to keep a little curve there and my head neutral. That's another big thing, because I see a lot of people tilting their head up and they're looking straight ahead, and that just cranks up the neck. So this is before you can do bent over rows, you need to be able to execute this position perfectly. Right, so once I know that you can do that, then it's a matter of like working out, okay, where do we want to start with you? What's the easier sort of progression before we sort of move into the harder ones? It can vary from person to person, but usually after I've done a few of these and I'm confident that they can do that, and I might have even done some deadlifts, I'm going to move maybe to a dumbbell, because dumbbells are a little bit easier to control. So we'll start off in that same parallel stance position. The dumbbell's in a pronated grip, so the pronated just means my hands are sort of facing towards me, and then I'm trying to stay in that position that I was in a second ago. With the added load, obviously it becomes an arm exercise, and an upper back area, but it very much demands, because I'm not moving, as opposed to the deadlift, that there's a huge amount of strength needed to hold me. So it's sort of working in like a postural position, I suppose. That's the beauty of the bent over row, and that's why we love using this exercise. So I might start with a dumbbell variation like this one, and then I might even progress to a single arm dumbbell and going from a parallel stance to a split stance. So when I move into this stance, the front leg now actually is loaded up a lot more. So very much like a lunge position, I suppose you could say. So the leading the person here sort of transforms this very much into partially a leg exercise. Once I'm done with that, I might move to a barbell, but I might use a T-bar, so where I've got the little handle on this barbell here. And the reason I'll use this one is because I can get the barbell in between me and I get maximum leverage. So this is where, and also if you want to really lift heavy with this, the T-bar will give you a lot more ability to put much more weight on it than you can with the traditional barbell. So I might start with this T-bar one until the person gets the beautiful position and the timing right. Once they've got this one, then I'm going to sort of move into the traditional barbell, where things get a lot harder, and there's a couple of different things I'm going to show you on this as well. So I'll move now to the normal barbell, and the very first thing I want you to look at, and this is why we've got the camera up close here, is where my hands position. A lot of people have this quite narrow, but you'll see where my thumb is. So that's where a lot of people want to have their hands. I want to move it out a little bit wider, and you see where my thumbs are, where the groove is on the barbell is sort of there, and I'll have that thumb distance away from there. The reason is for that, it just allows much better scapular control. I do this a lot with people who have neck and shoulder pain. It just gives a much better positioning of that scapula to be spread apart when they're in the pulling action, and they also can't pull their elbows too far behind them. So see how my elbows will almost finish quite in line with my body. I don't want them to come past me. All right, and again, I have to keep my head very neutral. I don't want to chop it forward, and I definitely don't want to be looking ahead. All right, so that's the much harder version of the bent over row. And then there's one more variation that I can use where I start to actually combine it into like an integrated leg movement. This is very much good for sports. So I'll go back to using my two dumbbells again for this one, and you'll get to see where now I'm sort of going to transform this into more of like again, like what you would see in sports. So I'm going to show you two positions, firstly front on, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like side on. So this is where I'm going to use the lunge, and I'm going to use the bent over row in the lunge. So I'm going to go laterally first. So I'm going to stay in the lateral lunge and then do one bent over row, move back to the middle. Then I'm going to use a diagonal lunge with the leg turning in and again bending over in the same pelvic position I used as the other ones. And then a traditional lunge where I'm moving just directly forward, again going down and then bending. All right, so it's like moving into a lunge to bend over, pick up a ball, or a tennis player lunging, bending to hit the ball. From side on, this gives you a better idea of how close this looks to the bent over row. So you can see it's the same position, except I've just had that much more awkward skill to use with my legs, and obviously demanding strength. And the hard part with the legs on this is actually the stepping back part. All right, so I've got to stay quite low, and then from here that takes a lot of strength to step back, and then again the traditional one. So there's a lateral one, a diagonal one, and then a forward one. All right, so there's a few variations you can use of the bent over row. Again, you just find the one that's suitable for your current level of ability, and you can get a fair bit out of this exercise. Great postural strengthening movement, and great way to get some upper back strength into your body. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that video. See you on our next one.